Looking at the largest deals in American team sports, no player can come close to what Mbappe is being offered. Patrick Mahomes' $450 million deal is the largest, but that was over 10 years. So what we want to know, SA, among the top 4 pro sports leagues in the U.S., we're talking NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL, obviously, who's the most valuable player?
In my opinion, it's LeBron James. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, we know how big time he is to the NFL, but the NFL hasn't successfully gone about the business of globalizing its brand. It's popular in America. It's had some popularity in Europe, meaning in London, England, of course, in Germany. But at the end of the day, they're still working on globalizing their brand. Don't get me started with Major League Baseball. They're just trying to ingratiate themselves with the younger generation on the come up in their own country, the United States of America. They may be popular in other places, particularly with the Latino population, whether it be the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, and things of that nature. But the bottom line is, still in all, Major League Baseball has some work to do right here in its own home country, considering the greatness of Shohei Ohtani. The bottom line is that's still an issue. When you look at the NBA has successfully gone about the business of globalizing its brand, and the number one face in the NBA is LeBron James. It's not just because of his greatness. It's one of the greatest players who have ever played the game, a 4-time NBA champion, a guy who's been to 10 NBA finals, a guy who was just in the Western Conference Finals in his 20th year, averaging over 28 a game. But he's a conscientious observer, some would say even an activist to some degree because of his willingness to speak out on a plethora of issues. Obviously, he's an astute, big-time businessman, an athlete who has made that transition. We see the Magic Johnsons and the Michael Jordans of the world. We have no reason to expect anything less from the greatness of LeBron James as a businessman in years to come based on what we've already seen from him, not to mention the fact that he's made inroads at Hollywood in terms of his production company, in terms of his acting ability and what have you. The man has done a lot. And so when I look at it from that perspective and I look at the multitude of things that he's made news for, you take into account his son. Thank God his son is okay after suffering cardiac arrest earlier this week. It was on the front pages and led news worldwide, for crying out loud. The son of LeBron James. That's how big LeBron James is. And that is why I say when you talk about the value of a professional athlete in today's day and age, I think LeBron James stands above the crowd.
SA, fair to say that Steph Curry is a close second? Would you put him at number 2?
In the NBA, yes, yes, absolutely. I think Steph Curry is there. He's on the come up, but he's relatively quiet off the court. He's doing great things, don't get me wrong. He's got his own production arm as well, playing golf, having fun with a lot of people.
Playing some good golf.
That's right, and he's been playing golf since high school. But the bottom line is that everyone loves Steph Curry, so it's a feel-good story wherever he's involved. With LeBron James, you've got lovers and haters. He's a very polarizing figure to a lot of people and a galvanizing figure to others. And he's more of a conscientious observer, and I think that resonates. He's not quite Muhammad Ali, but he's closer to Ali than Steph Curry is. And I think that's the kind of comparison that you have to throw out there.
Yep, I think you can relate to the polarizing. You got that down pat as well. All right, speaking of big names, got some news for you. Jaylen Brown, he got paid. The Celtics pushing all the chips on the table. After knocking down the door the last few seasons, Brown landing the richest deal in NBA history, agreeing to a 5-year supermax contract. It's going to pay him up to $304 million. So the Celtics currently have the second best odds to win that title, trailing only Nikola Jokic and the defending champion Nuggets. Stephen A., should the Celtics be the favorites to win the title now? Don't forget they have Porzingis too now. I
personally believe they should. And I personally believe they should because look at their roster. I don't like the fact that they lost Marcus Smart. I get all of that, and I think he's going to be tremendous for Memphis, particularly with the troubles that Ja Morant has experienced. I think Marcus Smart will be a welcomed addition. But let's also understand that when you look at Boston, you're looking at Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. 2 stars in this league, make no mistake about it. And Jaylen Brown ain't even the biggest star in the squad. It's Jason Tatum. So imagine how much money he's going to get in the next year or 2. But then you take into account Al Horford, who's an experienced veteran who can still play, but he's 37. You look at Robert Williams III. Can't stay healthy, can't play more than half of his games. But when he plays, he's formidable defensively. You add to that Kristaps Porzingis, 7'3". Just finished averaging 28, shooting 38% from three-point range, a career 36% shooter from three-point range. He's a shot blocker as well. He buffers their front line defensively because of his shot blocking prowess, and he elevates their perimeter game because he's a spot-up shooter that can hit those kind of shots. You add to that the fact that the rest of the nucleus has been in place. Jaylen Brown is still there. Jason Tatum is still there. Derrick Brown is still there. Malcolm Brogdon is still there. And, of course, you've got Al Horford and Robert Williams III. Their experience, their leadership up top with Brad Stevens. I think you look at the Boston Celtics, and it's nothing to sniff at calling them a favorite to win the chip. They've got a roster that says they can beat the reigning defending NBA champion Denver Nuggets along with anybody else in the NBA.
SA, we're going to get on out of here in about 60 seconds. Just want to ask you this quickly. A lot of people think this Boston Celtics team has gotten even better on paper with the moves that we just talked about. But the thing that was always tricky about watching them last season and the last couple of years, sometimes it felt like Jekyll and Hyde. You didn't know who was going to show up in terms of the consistency. What do you attribute that to with this team?
The fact that no coach has figured out how to make sure that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum not only can play with each other, but play off each other. It's one thing to wear the same uniform and to be teammates, okay? It's another thing to play with each other. Think about two-man ball, Molly. You can feed off of one another in pick-and-roll situations, pick-and-pop situations, and other things. But in the Boston Celtics case, it's Jason Tatum's turn 1 minute. It's Jaylen Brown's turn the other minute. They're on opposite sides of the court while their offense is balling with one another. That ain't gonna cut it. You've got to utilize their greatness to make sure they complement one another by playing off one another and putting an opposing defense on its heels. Not in one-on-one situations, but in situations where they're playing with one another. Nobody has done that with them successfully as of yet. That's what they need to figure out. I believe they will.
All right, before we roll, I know you got to get to business in LA. I just want to say to our YouTube fam, you had a great interview today with Gaethje and Poirier. I know those clips will be up on YouTube, to make sure to check those out. And of course, the Stephen A. Smith Show, where I get nervous sometimes when you open your mouth. I'm not there to protect you. All right, thanks for watching us. Be sure to watch.
I like making people nervous.
First Take, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. on ESPN. Be sure to check out more exclusive First Take debates on YouTube. Bye, guys.
All right.